Hey there, horror fans. How's it going? I'm your host, Douglas here at Dromboy Productions, and you're watching the 31 Days of Trick or Treat. In the past 4 weeks, we've taken a look at some truly incredible pieces by Trick or Treat Studios. If you don't know what this event is, every single day for 31 days we're taking a look at a different item by Trick or Treat. And we are near the end of it, as we've already passed the 4th week and we are now in the final days. This event is almost over, and I had something a bit more special planned for this video. However, it did not arrive in time, so instead we're going to be taking a look at something that is pretty awesome and is still a product that I have not reviewed here on the channel, but still not as cool as what we were going to take a look at. This is a mask that I feel would have fit in a little bit better earlier in the event, but it's still something I've never done a review on. Today we're going to be taking a look at the H20 Michael Myers mask. Well, one of the H20 Michael Myers masks. Everyone is familiar with the movie that brought Jamie Lee Curtis back to the franchise to fight Michael Myers, and Michael looked absolutely stunning in that movie. Of course, we're talking about Halloween 2018. They did it 20 years earlier, however, with H20. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said about the masks in that movie. There were a lot of issues with H20, but it seemed one of the biggest was the mask. They actually went through several different sculptures and, unfortunately, a CGI mask. However, the mask that they had settled on by the end of production was this version, the Stan Winston sculpt. And even though all the H20 masks aren't super great, it's definitely the best one out of the lot. And in my opinion, as far as for like looking different but still having a really cool, interesting look, I feel like this was one of the better masks out of the sequels. And it would have looked a lot better if you didn't see Michael's eyes while he was wearing it. But Trick or Treat Studios decided to go ahead and tackle pretty much every single version of the H20 mask, minus, of course, the CGI version. But the Trick or Treat Studios ones are pretty damn awesome. But Trick or Treat Studios did the masks that they did produce justice. Unfortunately, due to the high quality of those masks, it's a bit hard to replicate them on the level that they were shown on film. The sculpture on this mask looks pretty damn spot on. I could be wrong, but this may actually have some lineage to the actual movie molds. If not, it is very, very, very well sculpted. The eye cuts on these, however, are a little hit and miss, and I guess that could be said about most of the Michael Myers masks that are mass-produced, but I feel like most of the other ones Trick or Treat Studios puts out are pretty consistent. With these, when I've seen them in stores and stuff, they're kind of inconsistent. And even with this one, there's a pretty good segment of latex over here that's entirely untrimmed. Of course, if you intend to rehaul this, repaint it, do whatever kind of customization to it, that's no problem. But just as a mask that you're buying off the shelf as a retailed official product, that is something to note. As far as the paint job, it's nothing too extravagant, but I mean really, it is a pretty simple paint job. It's a little bit of an off-white, and there is some very subtle shadowing in here on the face, it looks like. That was done very well. The shading on the lips, however, can't say the same. It just looks a bit undershaded. They're not fully filled out. The eyebrows are painted pretty well. And of course, on this mask, as well as the Resurrection mask, they airbrushed the hairline. So after it's glued on, they just hit it with brown right around that hairline. And they did do that with this mask here. So the paint job, really nothing too much to complain about. The hair, however, because the actual mask, if I'm not wrong, uses actual human hair. So obviously, due to the amount of masks that they have to produce, the resources just aren't there, as well as the price would be exponentially higher to do something like that. Instead, I'm not quite sure what hair this is, but it's very, very soft. Unfortunately, it does want to bunch together, and it doesn't seem like it's super, super easy to style because it's very bushy. However, I'm sure if you wanted to pluck some hairs out and kind of tweeze it down to size, or maybe even trim it down to size, you could probably get it looking a bit more manageable, but this is not as easy to style by hand as pretty much any of the other Myers masks that they've put out so far. Overall, it is a pretty nice looking mask. I don't believe it's too big head friendly, but it's not small by any means. And they actually do have on screen, not offered by Trick or Treat Studios, a version with an extended neck piece. So if you want to add one of those to these, you'll have to build that yourself, which I don't think would be super, super difficult. But yeah, the actual screen used version of that just sold at auction. This one, however, is the one with the cut neck, which was also used in the film, so that is worth noting. Like I said, they just used a lot of different masks for that movie. It was really odd. Since there's not too much else to note, let's go ahead and read the excerpt directly from the Trick or Treat Studios website and see what we can learn about this fella. Alright, so here we go. This is listed as the Halloween H20 Michael Myers mask. Now it is worth noting that the K&B version of the mask is listed as version 2, I do believe. Now, there was also another version, which the real one is owned by Sean Clark, which was a Halloween 6 mask that was modified. They don't offer that version as well, obviously, since it's pretty much the same thing as the Halloween 6 mask, but still it's worth noting. As far as details, it says developed by Justin Mabry. Now, since it says developed, not sculpted by Justin, I'm guessing that this does actually have lineage to the Stan Winston mold. Alright, as for details, it says developed by Justin Mabry. Since it says developed and not sculpted by Justin, I'm guessing that this is developed off of Stan Winston's actual mold. Trick or Treat Studios and Miramax Films are proud to present the official Halloween H20 20 Years Later mask. This mask is an identical replica of the mask worn by Michael Myers in Miramax Films' Halloween H20 20 Years Later. It says it was sculpted by our art director Justin Mabry and was based on numerous screenshots to make it the most screen-accurate mask ever released. So order your official H20 20 Years Later mask, get yourself some coveralls and a replica butcher knife, and give your friends the ultimate scare this Halloween. And as for the price on this, of course, you guessed it, the average for most masks, $60. This is not too terrible. However, I would say, as far as all the different masks that Trick or Treat Studios offers, just being like more screen accurate or just a great replica mask directly off the shelf, I think I would place this one a little bit lower. But for $60, that is still a great price, even if you intend to repaint it, rehaul it, whatever, or even if you just want to have it as it is. It's not a bad Michael Myers mask. It's definitely not a bad mass-produced mask. I just think out of the other amazing versions, like those, that Trick or Treat Studios offers, it's a little bit lower on the list for me. And if you want to pick one of these up yourself, you can get it directly from Trick or Treat Studios or one of the plethora of retailers that they work with. And with that being said, there's not too much left to do but give you all some nice close-ups. I love you all. I hope you all have been enjoying this series. Thank you for watching yet again, and I'll see you next time.